Earlier, we reacted to the pathetic statement made by Celtic Football Club, and now it's time for the Celtic fans to react. And of course, they are not happy. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football. And you know what? I cannot blame them. Over the past couple of weeks, I do feel like the fans have came across as entitled. I do think they've been moaning a lot. You know, all the success that they've had, the domestic success, qualifying for the Champions League for 3 years in a row, winning either a double or a treble every single season. And you do feel like, well, you know what, maybe you guys need to calm down a little bit. So I have been holding the fans, holding them accountable, but I think this statement from the board is literally the worst thing they could have done. It wasn't a good transfer window. In my opinion, they are saving the money because they know that Brendan Rodgers will not be there next year. And I think that instead of giving maybe Rodgers another 25, 30 million to spend this summer, I think they want to try and just do with the bare minimum in this transfer window. I think they'll do the bare minimum in January. And I think that they'll give the next manager who comes in the summer next year, I think that'll be the guy that, you know, is allowed to bring in players with the value of the likes of Adam Adea or an Arne Engels. But still, there's no excuse for the board, in my opinion, to come out with these kind of statements. And pretty much it was a poor transfer window. It was an underwhelming transfer window. I think you either say nothing and just get on with it if you're the board, or you come out and maybe just address the concerns of the fans. Maybe say something along the lines of, we accept that it wasn't the greatest transfer window that the club's ever had. There was a few players that we wanted to bring in. We didn't get the deals done. We'll try again next time. Something along those lines. But the Celtic board have basically come out and said that it's not their fault. Their hands are tied behind their back. It's UEFA regulations. They want to improve the club, but they weren't allowed to, etc. And they also don't want the club to, fall down the path of some other teams, which seems like a dig at Rangers. Listen, Celtic could have brought in an extra 2 players in this transfer window, £10 million each. That's not going to put Celtic out of business. That's not going to risk the future of this club. The board have just decided to try and save money in this summer transfer window, and that they're entitled to do that. But I think the last thing they should do is come out and lie, blatantly lie, and blame it on everything else. Why not just say the truth?
Because the truth, I don't think the truth, it's a weird one. I don't believe the truth would have been accepted, but lying's not going to be accepted either. I mean, it's a tough one. What they should have done is just probably spent some money, but they didn't.
Well, they don't even need to come out. I'm not saying they should come out and go, look, we're tight, miserable bastards and we didn't want to spend any money. They don't need to say that, but they could have come out and just acknowledged, we accept that it wasn't the greatest transfer window of all time, and we will try better. We will try and do better next time.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. You don't. But for them to come out and pretty much blame the whole thing on UEFA and claim that they had their hands tied behind their backs because of regulations, it's lying to the fans, and it's treating the fans like morons, because the fans ain't going to accept that. The fans ain't going to believe that.
Like I said this morning, right? They can't bag on about UEFA and not being able to afford players and all that stuff when you literally were in deals for Dolberg and other players. Go Ahead Eagles. That guy, they bid at like 2 million, but the team wanted 5. So like I said earlier, what happened to the Dolberg deal went through?
Would they have been breaking UEFA regulations?
So yeah, like how close are you to breaking the UEFA things? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And like we said earlier as well, if it is true, you come out and say it months ago. You don't let this build and build and build. But that Sun report that I talked about yesterday, they appear to be pissed off with Rodgers because Rodgers has come out and undermined them and questioning the transfer strategy. So if they're pissed off with him, maybe they don't want to give him money, like you say, but at the same time, they don't want to give him money by sacking him. So they're just stuck with Rodgers to the end of the season. And him not wanting Inamura and guys like that and keeping them out of European squads could be another fuck you to the board. Things are not well in paradise.
No, and I do think that's Rodgers making a bit of a statement. Inamura being left out, maybe you can accept that, but Shin Yamada, he's supposed to be the Kyogo replacement.
Yeah.
Celtic fans say we haven't replaced Kyogo, we still haven't replaced Kyogo, we didn't replace Kuhn. Well, from what we've heard and the reports that we've seen and the things that have been said about Shin Yamada, he, not only is he the Kyogo replacement, he almost looks like, what we've been told, he's like a carbon copy of a Kyogo replacement. So it's not just a case of him being the guy to replace Kyogo. He's almost been brought in to be the new Kyogo. And Rodgers does not fancy him, obviously, because you wouldn't have seen Kyogo getting left out of a European squad.
No, absolutely not, folks. But you know what? It's time to dive in to what the Celtic fans had to say. I've got a feeling maybe a few Rangers fans in here. Phantom says, solid statement. Not sure what the board can do about it if the fans are just genuinely bad human beings. Are they bad human beings? The Celtic fans don't deserve a wee bit of money here and there.
Well, I don't see how Celtic fans are bad human beings because the board didn't spend money.
It's a weird situation though, because the majority of Celtic fans are saying we hate the board, and then they're also saying that the board hate us. Do you think the Celtic board genuinely hate their fans?
No, it's nothing to do with hating the fans. It's just they don't want to spend money. They don't want to spend money.
I mean, it could be that Statement FC.
Well, hold on, like, see if some guy turns up at my door and says, "Can you donate £500 to charity?" And I'm like, "No, you're all right. See you later." Doesn't mean I hate charity or I hate people in need. It just means I don't want to spend £500 on my own money.
True, I mean,
and it's the same thing with the board. Just because they don't spend money doesn't mean that they hate the fans.
Yeah, it's a weird situation, man. And to me, can it get worse than it is right now? Of course it can. I mean, people are talking. I mean,
why would the board hate the fans? It just doesn't make any sense.
People are talking about, oh, you know, don't let anyone spin it into our start to the season. It's the bare minimum. 10 points for 12 and no goals conceded. How is that the bare minimum? No, honestly, how many seasons, right, under this Celtic board have Celtic begun with no goals conceded? I mean, 10 points for 12. Yeah, I'd agree. Maybe that's the bare minimum. But no goals conceded. I mean, how high are the fucking standards here?
Can 10 for 12 really be the minimum when you've got an Old Firm game at Ibrox included in there?
Yeah, but they're games you can't lose. You know what I mean, guys? You know what I mean, man? You can't lose them, but...
Well, your team's lost enough of them over the years.
Aye, and has my reaction been, well, that was adequate? No, I've been going fucking ballistic.
Hold on here, man. I don't agree that's the bare minimum. Say Celtic had 9 points out of 12 and the one loss was against Rangers. Is that below the bare minimum?
I'd say it is, aye.
I don't think you understand.
No, you're not understanding the Old Firm mentality.
No, don't hit that shit on me. It's a case of I don't think you understand, or people that are claiming that, I don't think you understand what the bare minimum means.
So what is the bare minimum to you for a Celtic fan after 4 games?
No, but the bare minimum, it seems to be in your words, would be the bare minimum should be anything below it's a disaster. How can 3 wins and 1 defeat be a disaster in 4 games?
Well,
you can
look at the state of these Celtic fans. They are treating it like a disaster.
Yeah, but it's not.
Imagine if Rangers beat them.
Yeah, no, you could argue 9 points out of 12 isn't ideal. You could argue it's disappointing, but I think to claim that 9 points out of 12 would be below the bare minimum. You have any idea what the bare minimum is?
Well, what's Russell Martin did? Is that the bare minimum?
No, I think that's below the bare minimum.
No, it's a disaster. It's well beyond the bare minimum.
To me, Rangers should have at least 6 points. I'd say if you played, I think with Rangers' fixtures, you'd be expecting at least 6 points.
Nah, man, you gotta be looking for more than 6, 7 or 8.
I said at least 6, alright? Again, you don't understand what the bare minimum means. You have no concept of the bare minimum.
No, but 6 points suggests that you've got a maximum of 2 wins. That's unacceptable.
No, I said a minimum of 6.
Hold on. To me, a minimum of 6 is still unacceptable.
But you're saying Rangers having 6 points would be unacceptable. You don't have fucking 6 points. You don't have a single win. You're saying 2 wins ain't enough. You ain't got one. So what are you talking about? You're talking shit.
But you're suggesting that I'm saying the start of the season has been acceptable, but it's not been. Russell Martin should be behind it out.
Right, okay.
We'll agree to disagree. Right? If Celtic fans says, go fuck yourselves, all you've done is admit that you're incompetent, sack the board.
Hold on here. Would you not accept, though, that Celtic, in the Old Firm game, is a really difficult fixture, and would you not accept that the game in Paisley against St Mirren's a really difficult game?
It is, but I've ambitions of winning the league, for fuck's sake. I've no ambitions of staying in the league.
So therefore, in my opinion, I think I would say like the bare minimum for Rangers would be like, we'll try and beat the teams that we expect that Dundee and with hindsight, Motherwell don't look that bad. But I think without hindsight, the bare minimum, I think, would have been beat Dundee and Motherwell and see what you can get. Because the Old Firm matches are hard and Rangers have struggled against St Mirren. So therefore, I stand corrected. I think the bare minimum, bare minimum for Rangers would have been pick up, get wins against Dundee and Motherwell. And that doesn't mean I'm saying you chuck the Celtic and St Mirren game. I'm just saying...
You've lost the plot, man.
I've lost the plot?
No, I know why you've lost the plot. No Old Firm fan is it... See, note the bare minimum in an Old Firm is draw. I don't give a fuck if you're home or away. We cannot turn around and say here after an Old Firm loss, well, that's the bare minimum, because that is pathetic. I don't know what happens, right, in Edinburgh derbies. Tends to be the maroon team comes out on top.
Alright, well here...
No, listen, right.
No, you're saying the bare minimums. So say Rangers up until... Say Rangers won every single league game up until the next time they played Celtic at Celtic Park and then they lost that. Would that be below the bare minimum in your eyes?
Because there's a difference between a run of 4 games and a run of 20 games, mate.
No, you're saying the bare minimum's a draw.
So if you lost to Hibs, you'd be like, well, it's all right because we picked up 6 out of 12, so it's the bare minimum. Derek McInnes in. Exactly. See, it sounds shite. You're spinning a mighty. Name me an old. What Chris Boyd said that it's all right. We lost to Celtic because we picked up 6 out of 12. It's the bare minimum.
I don't. You're entitled, I think, if you believe that the bare minimum you should be getting for an Old Firm game's a draw. That's you, like that. You're just not really taking in consideration how big and how difficult.
Right, folks, leave it down below. I don't give a shit who you support of the Old Firm. Right, a draw is the bare minimum. A draw is the bare minimum. Anything else is a disaster.
The way I see it, if someone's not giving you the bare minimum, do you not think they should be sacked or their job should be under threat? Agree or disagree? If someone's not giving you the bare minimum, should their job not be...
if Rodgers lost that Old Firm, there would have been talk.
Yes or no? If someone's not giving you the bare minimum, should their job be under threat?
Yes, and that's why Rodgers
could have been away. Anytime somebody loses an Old Firm game, they should be sacked then. Because you said the bare minimum in an Old Firm game's a draw. So as soon as you do not win, as soon as you lose an Old Firm game, you should be at the door. No, I'm not spinning. I'm using your own words.
You're trying to spin this?
I'm not.
I'm
not spinning shit.
Yeah.
I'm not spinning shit.
You've got to look at the circumstance. No one's getting sacked due to one game, but it's the build-up of games. See Russell Martin, right? See if he walked up with 9 points out of 12 and he lost the first Old Firm.
That's what I said. I fucking said.
No, but listen.
I said.
I'm not saying he deserves to get sacked.
I said if Celtic had. I just said that. I said that 10 minutes ago. So if Celtic had lost. Or Rangers, if they had 9 points and then they lost the Old Firm, I'm saying that wouldn't have been the bare minimum. You're saying, it would have been. How? Anyone can lose an Old Firm game. If you had 3 wins out of 3 going into the Old Firm, then you lost it. Unless you didn't get absolutely smashed.
See, losing an Old Firm, that's unacceptable. But it doesn't mean each time. It doesn't mean each time. It doesn't mean each time you deserve the guy deserves to get sacked, or every group of players deserves to get fucked out the door.
Well, you know what? You wish you had 9 points. You're fucking 4, so deal with it.
Oh, of course I do, man. Of course I fucking do. Absolutely. Anyway, big crash in the F1, but I think your brain's crashed, mate, to be brutally honest. I don't know what you're on. Guy's on the bloody meth. Nah, I don't even know. What the fuck were we there?
You've lost your composure.
I've no...
Never had
folks. Some people would argue that, but seeing an Old Firm, the bare minimum is a draw. Doesn't mean if you lose it, every manager deserves to get sacked, though. Fact of the matter is this. Well, would you not argue the bare minimum for Russell Martin in that Old Firm was a draw? Because if he lost it, he would have got sacked. Aye.
That's different. That's
it's a combination of guys. Well, that's exactly my wee description there. So, swivel on it. But right. Let's move on. So, Grand Old Team says transfers and wages must meet UEFA sustainability? Question mark. Our net spend is plus 20 million in the last 5 years. Right,
forget about him. Right, what start the season at this point? What was the bare minimum for you, Rangers points wise?
After 4 games.
Aye. What was the bare minimum? And the bare minimum.
I'm going
the
to
bare
go at 10.
the
I'm
bare.
going at 10. That'd be the bare minimum for me because it was a favourable start, not taking on
So
Aberdeen or Hibs or Hearts, right?
So anything less than, you think anything less than 10, Russell Martin should be at the door?
No, because like I said, that's different. I don't even think I think that's a fucking.
It's the government alert. 3 p.m. guys.
Let Russell Martin at the door.
Climb into your bunkers.
Tell me it in Gaelic. Anyway, what was I fucking saying there, Russell? No, I think even with 9 points out of 12, I wouldn't have been asking for Russell Martin to get sacked, even if he'd lost against Celtic, but it would still be unacceptable and below the standard. The fact of the matter is this, folks.
Well, you've 4. You don't have 9.
Yeah, he's got 4, and he should have been gone after the second game, which was against Dundee.
No, but what does the word bare minimum mean to you then?
It's below the minimum required.
Yeah, so
in an old firm at home, you have to be. You cannot afford to lose your home games.
Yeah,
in an old
but
firm.
so see if you work McDonald's, what's the bare minimum?
Different kettle of fish.
No, I'm out of curiosity.
Bare minimum. You do your allocated shift to an adequate standard, and you walk out the door.
Say there's a crew member and he's not doing the bare minimum.
A talking to.
And it was.
Mate, flipping those patties as good as you could be. I don't know, you worked at McDonald's, you tell me.
I think
the bare minimum?
Fucking show up, that's the bare minimum. I think if you're not delivering to the bare minimum though, that's a sign of you getting sacked. I think the bare minimum is like the minimum expectations. I'd say the minimum expectations going into an Old Firm game is to compete.
But just like a one Old Firm game, it's an isolated game. If you're above the standard in every shift in McDonald's, but then one day you go in and you serve a double bacon cheeseburger instead of a double cheeseburger, that's below the required standard. You made a mistake, but you're going to get sacked for that one mistake.
Depends who I'm giving the bacon to. It could be then on purpose, but I wouldn't call that a mistake.
Well, I mean, either or. This is a mistake for the Celtic board, and we need to get back on track.
What would you have said was the bare minimum for that Scotland game against Denmark?
Well, a draw.
That bare minimum?
Aye, a draw.
No, I'd have said a draw would be a decent result. So I think
you, Stephen Thompson, that other, what's he called, James McFadden? It would be a phenomenal result.
Not a phenomenal result. I think
he said that. He said that 20 minutes in, we were on top.
Yeah, but how can a draw be a decent result but also be the bare minimum? It doesn't really make any sense. I think the bare minimum is to go out and play with pride and play for the shirt. I think the bare minimum is to give effort and to put in a good performance. I don't think you've got any right unless you're against a far inferior team. I don't think the bare minimum is to win.
Maybe.
I don't even think the bare minimum for I don't think the bare minimum for Rangers against St Mirren was a draw.
Well, no, we've got to look at it, right. See that Scotland game.
So hold on.
If we lose that, you can kiss goodbye to World Cup qualification. So therefore, the bare minimum should be to get past the first game with hope.
Should I be saying that the bare minimum for Derek McInnes next week is to get a draw against Rangers? Is that the bare minimum?
I would say with the way Rangers are playing, I would actually agree with that.
Fair enough.
I would. No, but Rangers have drew against worse teams than Hearts. Every team we've drew against, you could argue, has been worse than Hearts. And I'll fucking fire in Celtic in that. Celtic have been brutal recently.
I guess we just have different definitions of what the bare minimum means. The bare minimum to me is like the least you can do. I think it's a bit weird to suggest that getting a positive result is the least somebody can do. You know, you can't always get a draw, or you can't always get a win.
Right. Seeing an isolated game against Denmark, trying hard and losing narrowly, you could say, well, that's the bare minimum. But seeing a World Cup qualifier that we need to get something in, or else we're snookered, the bare minimum's a draw. You have to admit that.
All right, I think if we played well, if we played well against Denmark and lost 2-1, but played well and created enough chances to win the game, I'd sit here and go, it's unfortunate. We tried. We were unlucky. I wouldn't be right, Steve Clarke out because he failed the bare minimum.
Fair enough.
It's football, sometimes you lose.
Sometimes you lose, guys. Anyway, that is it.
Like, hold on, see in boxing, would you not say the bare minimum if someone goes into the ring and tries to fight? See if someone gets fucking KO'd and how can you say, he got knocked out, he didn't deliver the bare minimum?
Right, let's move on. Somebody's saying this 100% a chat GPT response, sack them all. I think they use ChatGPT.
I mean, well, I guess it would save them time writing all that out, wouldn't it?
I use
What?
ChatGPT and Grok to like create images of like for thumbnails, but
We can tell they're all shite.
nah, they're all shite. Tony Soprano holding a duck.
But yeah, that's
at gunpoint.
Would you say the Grok generated images are the bare minimum?
Where are you going with this wee bare minimum?
Just curious.
Anyway, I think we're done.
Oh, nah, come on, read out more comments. Most of this has just been me and you arguing about the start of the season. And the fact Rangers only have 4 points.
This is the biggest load of pish I've ever read. Charlie says I ain't reading all that. I'm happy for y'all though. Or sorry that happened. Birthday care pish. Instead of words you can use action and face supporters because this don't wash at all. The worst excuse in here is we know the Champions League dates and we know we didn't make any signings for that, but it was other people and not our fault.
Do you not think people come off as like really like ignorant or unintelligent when there is a statement or text that precedes the length of maybe like one paragraph?
Hold on,
and their default response is, I ain't reading all that. It's like, what, are you incapable of reading more than one? Are you incapable? Are you incapable of reading more than like 2 sentences?
We're watching the Italian Grand Prix here, right? Lando Norris was leading for Piastri, and they both need to pit, and they pit Piastri first, and the gap was like 3 seconds, and he's on soft against tyres that are done.
I thought it was 6.
No, it was 3.5.
Well, I'll tell you what, this will be very interesting here if Piastri leapfrogs him.
I think McLaren have just fucking shafted Lando Norris here. But yeah. I mean, if I was waiting on a bet, which I'm not, because my bets get beat at the first fucking corner 10 usually. I can't believe they've done that.
It's actually disgusting how late they've been able to stay out. I mean, they could have done the full race. They could have. Yeah. Obviously, you have to make a change of tyres, but
he's fucked. Well, look at that. Look at that. Oscar Piastri's beat Lando Norris at the pits because of a slow pit stop.
You think he'll allow him back through, or?
I mean, Jesus Christ, McLaren F1.
Should he? Is that the fair thing to do?
They gave him a 2 in qualifying.
It's the bare minimum that he lets him past.
The bare minimum. What the See, Lando Norris is well within his rights, by the way, to be fucking fuming at that.
Right, I think we'll end it, guys. That's it. I think we're done.
Yeah, Celtic fans aren't happy.
Statement FC.
Yeah, a lot of statements. Anyway, guys, leave your thoughts down below. And yeah, there's just no other news apart from Celtic and their fans. So yeah, leave it down there. Till next time. Peace.